Let's get this tape going. I got to hit the, get rid of that. Okay, here we go. Multiple coverages out of base. Here's what I'm showing. They go base front, right? They run a 4-3. Okay, they got 2 stand-up linebackers. Sound familiar? It should. They're showing single safety high. They're going to drop into a cover 2 here. They're going to take the corner, drop him back, and they're going to take that's Shaq Barrett, who's still a elite level pass rusher, by the way. That'll be a good matchup. They drop Shaq Barrett into the flat here. I'm just showing this play to let kind of everybody know you're not dealing necessarily with what the eyes show early. You have to be able to read some keys. Is Shaq Barrett look like he's in a passing stance? Is he already looking outside to where he has to go to? How's 27 playing on the back end? If you have 31 playing free safety, does that feel right? I mean, does that feel right? Because if 27's over in the flat, or it doesn't really make sense. Or if he's playing a little bit off, it doesn't really sit right with me, at least, that they're going to go ahead and take that. They're going to play single safety with the safety down the other side and not rotate around, right? So you just have to have some indicators here. Pressure from tight looks. Here's what I'm showing. You got 2 tight ends on the upside, and so you don't ever know if that guy's button up or is he coming. They're bringing guys all over the board. There's people open, right? You always see, and who's always open, on these kind of plays. It's like you got to hit the check down. That's the idea. Then you just got to tackle in front of the sticks. You get your quarterback back on the field. If you hit it early, if you hit him in stride, which is a big thing, if you step into your throw and you hit the guy in stride, our players can make plays on this defense. You look at the bunch, they used a lot of return motion to try to figure out what the Tampa Bay Bucs were doing. Talk about the Falcons now. And in this situation here, you just see Winfield's like, I'm not pulling any punches, man. I'm coming off the ball, and I'm gonna pressure you. They have a wide open Bijan Robinson, but because of the pressure, not able to make the play. Same thing here. You got a bunch look. Now, if they go out, we've seen this before where they turn this into a kind of a stacked trips look. And if that inside guy starts creeping up, you have to have answers right now. Is it a hitch? Are we going to turn this into a tunnel screen? Do we have an answer for it on the plus side? Because they're probably going to bring, like what these guys do a good job of, is they'll drop D tackles. They'll walk up Mike linebacker, Will linebacker, and they'll drop them. They'll bring somebody off the other edge. Like they're going to bring 4 or 5. It's just which 4 or 5. So your running back, if he's involved, he's probably going to get 8 up. In other words, you're not going to be able to start and scan on the right and then come all the way back over to the left. So you're going to have an answer to their hot read. That's the kind of the flavor of defense you're dealing with this week. Got to account for Antoine Winfield Jr., right? He's been a big-time player since his rookie year. He'll take some chances. He'll make some mistakes, but he's an elite-level mindset player. If he's around the line of scrimmage, he's just there to make plays. He gets a sack safety here. And these kind of players, things happen for him. Now, when I say account for him here, you got 23-31 standing up there. Obviously, they're not going to play a dual safety look like that. So you have to account for them in the run game. You got to take that spot. If they're in this front, if this is a penny front or whether or not the linebackers walked out, you got to account for 31 and bring him as part of the count as far as the offensive line if you're in the run game here. You can't just let him sit there and come in and play at linebacker depth at the snap of the ball. 31 here again. And there's just no need. This needs to be super clean and clear. You see the running back, Bijan Robinson, he's going for 31, right? Forgot his rules. Or the tackle, McGarry, forgot his rules. But somebody's wrong here. Now, they end up picking this up, and it's a quick throw. But this is the kind of stuff that happens. One would think that the tackle and guard would be squeezed into the linebacker and the running back would be taking 31. But the point is somebody's wrong, and Bijan Robinson's got to come back late on KJ Britt, and that's really not what you want to have happen if you got somebody who's going to hold the ball in the backfield. Now, my idea is space gives intel. Space gives information. So get those. If this is a 2x2, spread them out as wide as you can. Get those slot receivers. This looks like a trips look with an empty. We got 3x2, excuse me. But you want to split everybody out because this gives you information. If somebody's going to blitz off the edge, you go as a quarterback, as a receiver, as an offensive line, you're going to see it now. This is very obvious, especially on the high side here. If anybody's showing, right, because if they're coming from depth like this on your base rules, I think the biggest waste of time in football is sending a Mike linebacker through an A gap. I think it's the biggest waste of time in football because you're already going there, right? Unless you have some slide. If this is a team that historically slides, you're just going to take the backside guy, or I guess you're usually sliding away from the protection. So if you call your protection to the right, you're sliding to the left. So if you bring the guy from the right, and that means the back has to pick him up, fair enough. But in these situations, in a scat situation, you're probably going to go to the first guy outside the center. So like bringing this protection, this never really made a lot of sense. This is a really easy pickup for everyone. But the opportunities are there because when you bring 5 or 6, we talked about it last week, what the problems with the Packers were, you have to either start playing this man or you're going to play a pretty soft zone. And then there's just throwing lanes everywhere. You have to have pre-snap answers. And we see this here. If the slot is going to come off the edge, which he starts creeping, and as soon as he goes now, Ritter's got to have his head. You're making these checks, and the ball's out because the safety's trying to get all the way to the flat. And they'll give you, I'm showing the high side. I know they threw the ball to the low side. And the quarterback makes a decision there and lives with it. But you have to have like a very good understanding of what are the possibilities. If they bring the slot, who's going to cover the flat? If they have the corner cover the flat, who's covering the deep third? All these things, like you have leverage somewhere. You just have to find it, and you have to find it fast. And everyone's got to be on the same page. So I talk about an elite level. This is KJ Britt, the backup. And he's chasing 7, their best player. He chases him all the way across the field and forces this really a tackle for loss. And that is a big-time play. That's how, I have a lot of respect for the Todd Bowles as a coach and then as a defensive coordinator and what the mindset he brings to this team, and it always is brought to this team on the defensive side of the football. You see out here the corner, shoots the gap, makes the play, walks into the end zone. These are big-time plays. Those are big-time plays, but it can get you hurt, okay? Because now you see a 2x2 on the bottom here. Excuse me, you see twins on the bottom, and they're just going to run like a chair route, an out and up, a stick nod. And you've got the slot defender with his chest to the line of scrimmage, and you have the outside defender with his chest to the end zone. And so you just got big-time play opportunities here because the safety has to get over the top. Impossible, right? So big-time play for a touchdown there. And then if you just win on the line of scrimmage, remember, 2 backup cornerbacks are starting as of this week. Carlton Davis and Jameel Dean are out. And you got Zion McCollum and Josh Hayes in. Okay, one's a rookie, one's a second-year player. They're both good. They're not as good as starters. Otherwise, they'd be starting. So you win at the line of scrimmage here. They're running another stick nod. It's just a little sloppy because they're draped all over them. But you got time to make plays. I'm going to show this from 2 angles. I just like what they're doing. 2 tight end look. You can use a fullback as well. They're in base defense. Okay, they've brought down 23 to play over the top here or play man coverage on the tight end. So they go backside. 23 is going to stay in the count. Okay, so that's good information for later on for the Green Bay Packers. But you see what happens. They switch with 52. They switch responsibilities, and everybody chases. Now, if they just would have done a better job at the guard position, this is a touchdown. They probably get tackled by Antoine Winfield, fair enough. But watch this from the sideline copy. Same play. Look how they chase the flat option, the arrow, and then the linebacker chases the tight end across the ball, and they forget about the Falcons' best player. And you see the hole that shows up here is absolutely absurd. Now, if he could just make this cut earlier, or if they could block their nose tackle a little bit faster, there's some big opportunities in the run game if they're going to play it the same way. I'd try to feature at least one package of things out of that look. They do that return motion again. They see that nobody moves. So what does that mean? That means that you really got a 2x2 on some sort of man or match coverage outside. So we come down, safety bites, and they're just going to run a little rub route up top here. And now you're wide open for easy throw and catch. And these are the kind of plays that you just can't get enough of. Like, you can't manufacture enough free yards, where the quarterback has a run pass option because of the under center play action, but he also can just throw the ball out 7 yards in the flat, and literally nobody's covering these guys. Okay. Yeah, I talked about Kalijah Kancey, the kid from Pitt. I watched him since the Senior Bowl. He's a really good player, quick first step, good leverage. Not a tall guy, so just plays with a lot of leverage. Leverage players, it goes in and out of vogue, but generally speaking, if you're talking about a 6'4", 6'5" guard or tackle, you have a hard time with a 6'1" guy. It's just a weird angle for you. So you see here, he takes a hard step inside and then just gets this center going sideways and presses him into the hole, puts him on his ass, tackle for loss. He's very, very capable of doing this if you have poor footwork. If you can't get that second step down, he catches you in a crossover, you're in big trouble. Don't waste reps against an aggressive defense. They want to make plays. You have to throw the open. So if they're in quarters coverage here and they bite on the quarters coverage, so 4 deep, okay, and they bite not once, but really twice with the play side safety and the backside safety on the deep dig, you have to throw this to space. There's nobody out there. And they keep this really high, and Ritter, for some reason, doesn't lead him into the ocean of green over there in the top left corner. I'll show this from the end zone copy. I mean, he just couldn't. He doesn't even see the backside safety as bitten, right? But there's oceans of space here. And whether Watson's healthy, you can give this to Wicks. I mean, you could have thrown this over to the referee and just made this an easy throw and catch. Now they got problems in base defense. Where? Well, if they don't bring all 5, they got to drop one of those guys, right? And anytime but Packer fans know they don't like dropping Preston Smith. When you drop a guy into coverage, especially in like the flat against these defenders, there's going to naturally just be leverage in space. So they do a play action, just easy completion out here. These are, again, what I'm talking about now is I'm showing you gimmies. Now we still got to complete them and have good footwork. I feel like this is better on the run than in the pocket right now, quite frankly, because he doesn't throw off his back foot on the run. But there are easy gimme completion plays against this defense you got to take advantage of. I think the big thing is, we've seen this now with Reed. We're trying to work this in. I'm sure they're going to get Wicks involved. I'm sure they're going to get Malik Heath involved more. Obviously, I don't know if Dobbs is a behind the line of scrimmage guy. We don't think that Aaron Jones is coming back, but they made a lot of hay on these kind of plays. And the good thing about watching these plays is, regardless of what they're in, and you can see 27 and 52 are both going to have outside leverage here, which the point is, you get one good cut and somebody's going to look stupid. Like 27 doesn't need to be outside of 52 because 52 has already set the edge. He should be sitting in the hole. But when you're playing this fast and you're worried about speed, which anybody who catches one of these balls, if it's Jaden Reed or it's Bijan Robinson, the defense is going to be scared of that speed. So what are they going to do? They're running lateral. They'll over pursue. You put your foot in the ground to go north-south, run through a bad tackle, and you got yourself a huge play. And then talk about base defense again. They bring out their outside linebacker here. He's standing up over a trips look. Now, this is great. This is a great job. We talked about this last week at the Packers. You have to do this so they don't throw the wide receiver screen. So this makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. And he can kind of come in and play the run game here. But they get confused. You can see the safety's not sure what to do. He's trailing Bijan Robinson late. Outside linebacker stays there, but he's going to be the flat player. They let the corner go, easy touchdown.